Hello, everyone. It's Sunday, March 22nd, and you just heard Thelma's Country Garden, which is by Carol Barnett. She was actually arranging this tune from Percy Granger, who was arranging the tune from a traditional melody called Country Gardens. So it's kind of a triple layer of reworking musical ideas that are very fun, very happy, and upbeat for these lovely spring days. This is the end of our kind of spring theme series, mini series within the 31-day series. So I hope you've enjoyed all the happy spring music for the past 4 days. We'll talk to the composer in just a minute, but I wanted to remind you that exactly 1 week from today, I will be doing my closing concert, and I need your help. I have 31 pieces of music that I've been presenting all month long, and I cannot fit them all onto one concert. So you can help me choose which pieces to play. You can do that by going to my, it's not my website, but it's a button down below called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can select a piece for the closing concert. If you would like to support that with a monetary donation, that is much appreciated. If you would also like to just write me an email and say, hey, I think you should play this piece, I will also take those requests. So either way, reach out and let me know what you'd like to hear in person on Sunday, March 29th at 3 p.m. at the checkout. I'll be there a week from today. See you then. Let's talk to Minnesota composer Carol Barnett.
Yeah, I was born in Iowa, but they moved me out of there before I was a year old. And up to northern Minnesota. So that's where I graduated high school and came down to the university. So
Oh, nice. And where do you live currently?
in Minneapolis, South Minneapolis,
Okay.
about 5 minutes south of downtown because my husband for 30 years was a violist in the Minnesota orchestra.
Oh, nice.
My father was a piano teacher and he taught all of his students to compose. In fact, before they even started, he would give them maybe this fifth or sixth lesson. He'd say, well, here's a piece of poetry. I'll read it to you, and you have your mother read it to you as well. And then you just sit down at the piano and just think of something, do something on the piano with it. And I will write it down for you next time. So that was, and his teacher had done that to him, for
Mm-hmm.
him, with him. So it was just, it was a tradition, and some of us just took it farther than others did. And I stuck through it through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and by that time, I knew that I wanted to be certainly a musician. And by that time, I was playing, of course, piano, but also flute in the band. And, it was a small school, so we could play everything. We can do everything. I played violin in the orchestra and, sang in the choir and all that sort of thing. And
Wow.
so, uh, and I knew that there were a lot better violinists and flutists than I were. And when I got down to the U, I was just, the same thing with piano. I was never feeling that the piano was my friend. It was a good acquaintance, but maybe I just never practiced enough. And so, but I knew that I could write. For maybe 10, 15 years, I was an adjunct at Augsburg College and taught mostly orchestration, which I made into a composition class, and sometimes I filled in for theorists who are on leave, um, and played in community orchestras and the children's theater pit orchestras, flute and piccolo, when they had that kind of need.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I gave lessons. I was a hand music copyist as well. Um, so that was, it's a little bit of everything. And I always said that my day job was being married. Yeah, well, Thelma Hunter, dear Thelma, I knew because she was on the board of the Composers Forum, which I was around when it started as the Minnesota Composers Forum, and then became the American Composers Forum. She was also on the board of the Dale Warland Singers that I was a composer in residence for 8 years. And also there was a gathering of women called the Friday Club, and which was started back in the day when women who were good performers couldn't perform in public anymore when they got married.
Mm.
You know,
That was
it
a
was,
rule? That
yeah,
was,
yeah. I mean, in that class of society, it was, it was early 20th century. Um, and so it started, they got together at least weekly and played for each other, and they were good. Um, and it has since evolved over its 100th year. And, I think it had its anniversary 100th year maybe a couple of years ago, and it's now a dress rehearsal sort of thing. Thelma was going to be 88 in what was it, 2012, and everybody was going to gather at her house, and a couple of us were asked to provide, little presents for Thelma, and I knew that Thelma had all of her life almost played country gardens, Percy Granger's country gardens, and I think, as I remember, she told the story of when her boyfriend first brought her home as a prospective longtime partner, wife, etc. And his folks were not they were a little bit maybe, but then she sat down and played country gardens because he had told her that they liked it, and they were persuaded. So ever
oh,
since, and actually she participated in a camp run by, or at least Percy Granger himself was one of the teachers that she got to work with. So um,
wow. Okay,
that
so
was another thing.
they knew.
So I thought, okay, fine. They said, do an arrangement of country gardens for Thelma, and I thought, well, it's already an arrangement of folk songs, and so what can I do that's different? So that's
Cool.
why.
Great.
And then
What are you working on right now? Any pieces that you're currently writing?
Yes, I'm almost finished with a piece for the Washington National Opera chorus. They're going to do their annual benefit for AGMA, yeah, American Guild of Musical Artists, which is a union for, among other things, choral singers, especially opera choruses. So this is their annual benefit, and I have no idea how they found me. I mean, they're in Washington after all, but we went back and forth about text, and 5 of the 6 that we picked for finalists were sonnets, and I thought, well, it's short notice. I think we need public domain. So we chose one, our first choice, both of us, the conductor and I, uh, chose Edna St. Vincent Millet's On Hearing a Symphony of Beethoven. And so I thought, okay, On Hearing Beethoven, and I thought from the poet, from the things she was saying in the poem, I thought it's got to be the seventh, but I can't just base it on that, right? So
Hmm.
it's On Hearing Beethoven, and I'm quoting Beethoven. I'm also dragging in some Brahms and some Shostakovich and a few other things, and I wrote it, most of it, during Minneapolis's problem with the feds.
Hmm.
And so there is, uh, the poem itself contrasts the marvelous sense of peace and rightness of listening to Beethoven with everything else that's going on, including, uh, rudeness and spitefulness and so that's a good opportunity to have the chorus scream, and well, they don't
Wow.
scream, but they go, ah, and the piano goes,
Hmm.
and so it's been fun.